What is up, guys? Alex from ANAK Creates here. Today we're going to be talking about drum samplers. And I'm not talking about drum samplers in terms of digital hip-hop style sampled drums. I'm talking about acoustic style drum sampling plugins. Acoustic drums when you can't actually play them in a room. There are a lot of options out there and each one has their strengths and weaknesses, but I'm going to talk about my 4 main picks that I think could service a lot of different people. I'm going to look at why I like them, why I don't like them, and who they might be for and what workflow they might work for to help you make an informed decision for yourself. I'm going to be talking about Slate Drums 5, Addictive Drums 2, GetGood Drums, and Drumforge. Now, I do have to say that this is not sponsored by any of these plugins, and I have no association with any of them. This is all my own thoughts and opinions. Also, stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to do a side-by-side sonic comparison of the 4 kits with just default presets that come in them. So you can really compare how each one sounds out of the box with a default preset and sits in a mix. Now, of course, the trick with drum sampling plugins is you can always add to them. You can add different samples, different one-shots, all sorts of different stuff to them. You can combine them as well, and there's just a million different options. But I wanted to look at these plugins more out of the box. What is their purpose, and who are they actually aimed at? Now, we're going to be looking at them and comparing them using the song that you heard in the intro, and that's a demo of a song that I'm working on. Those were actually some basically default presets out of this, not a lot of manipulation. It just shows you what they're capable of out of the box. First up, Slate Drums 5. Now, Slate has been around for so long, and they feel like one of the OG drum samplers, to be honest. SSD4 was one of the first drum sampling plugins I had, and before that, Steven had tons of one-shot samples. That's how he got to start before Slate Digital and all different plugins. He's been doing this a long time. While SSD's legacy is more in the rock-style genres, it's actually one of the more well-rounded drum sampling plugins to my ears. It has just so many different samples in it, and so many different kits, and so many different kit pieces that you can piece together with more sounds than just clicky, ticky, rock and metal drum sounds. You can do a lot with it, and there's a lot of packs that they sell that sound like very raw drums. A bunch of them I find aren't really mix ready. They're not pre-processed for you to a point that you're kind of processed into a corner and can't do anything else with them, which is really nice if you're looking to take those sounds and craft them into your own sound a little bit further. Because they've been around for so long, they just have a ton of kit pieces, and they all sound really good, and you can mix and match, and it's just a really nice user experience. However, that being said, I do find some of their samples just don't sound amazing. I just don't understand who would actually need to use this in a song. But that also shows you can manipulate it your own way after the fact, so it is very raw, and because of that, can work with a lot of different genres. Now, they do have a lot of pre-made kits, which is great if you just want to call something up and just browse through presets to get some inspiration. They also have a great groove player, so they have MIDI grooves that you can use and then drag into your DAW and manipulate further, which is really nice for writing and inspiration. And it's fairly easy to add your own samples in and kind of manipulate your own samples to be locked in with their samples. The kind of downsides to the plugin are the fact that the samples do feel a little bit more raw, so you do have to do some processing on your own. Now, unlike some plugins, there is not a lot of mixing capability within the plugin. Yeah, you have volume and that kind of thing, but you don't have a lot of EQs or compressors or effects within the plugin to mix solely in the plugin. You can can use multiple outputs and route stuff out to your DAW into aux tracks to mix them the way you would mix actual drums with the plugins in your DAW. That's a workflow that you're into, but the plugin itself isn't really that self-contained in terms of mixing. So Steven Slate Drums 5 to me is for somebody who wants a lot of options in terms of raw drum samples that aren't overly processed so that they can route them out into their DAW and mix them in their actual DAW. I don't think this is for somebody who just wants to pull up a mix-ready kit and be done with it. The mix-ready kits, to me, just don't sound very good, don't fit very well. But that, of course, has to do with my own preference. To Addictive Drums 2. And again, Addictive Drums feels like it's just been around for a long time, with frankly not a lot of changes either. Addictive Drums feels like a Steven Slate, but with more processing in it. There's more EQs and compressors and tape saturation, all that kind of stuff built into the plugin. It doesn't seem to come with a lot of samples. It comes with a lot of presets, but the presets are just manipulating the few kit pieces that are already in there. Now, if you're looking for this, a more self-contained unit with a lot of effects and a lot of things to inspire you in that way, then it's great. It also has a phenomenal groove player in it where you can actually manipulate the grooves within the player before you put them into your actual timeline. They also have a lot of expansion sounds and expansion groove packs, so while they cost more money, they do exist. Now, the downsides to Addictive Drums is the interface just feels a little clunky. It feels old and like it hasn't been updated in a long time, which frankly it hasn't. It's basically impossible, or at least from what I've found, to add your own samples, so it's not very user-friendly in that way. So if you're looking to add one-shots or other samples to your kit, don't look at this plugin. To me, the sounds feel stretched. They're stretching what's actually there. They're over-manipulated in all of these different presets. To me, this is one of the more unrealistic sounding drum plugins and least user-friendly of all the ones I've tried. Now, I do know that on the internet there are a ton of different people that absolutely love this plugin, so I did have to give it a shout out here. But to me, I just haven't been able to make it work. It's great for grooves and for writing and for just pulling something up that does something and sounds like drums right off the bat, but it's just not great for final productions, in my personal opinion. Next up, we have GetGood Drums. Now, GetGood Drums is a company with a ton of different sample libraries and kit libraries, and they all run on the Kontakt platform. So you have to have either Kontakt or the free Kontakt player to load up these libraries, which isn't really a problem because it's a free plugin, but it's just another layer of compatibility to be aware of that you need to make sure works with your DAW and your operating system and all that kind of stuff. Now, GGD has a whole bunch of different libraries, and the one that I've been using is the Aggressive Rock library. With this library and the other one-kit wonder libraries that they're known for, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's one kit. There are not any options. And within the plugin, there's very little processing options as well. There's a master EQ and a parallel compression thing that you can turn on, but besides that, you basically have volume and that's it. Now, of course, you can use multi-output routing from Kontakt and route it to your DAW and mix it within your DAW, which is typically how I use this plugin, because out of the box, the drum kits sound really good for what they're intended for. If it says one kit wonder aggressive rock, yeah, it actually sounds really good for an aggressive rock kit. The other nice part with GetGood Drums is they have a nice groove player built into it as well that will play in sync with your song, so you can play some grooves and try them out and kind of play over top of them, and it's really nice for writing. And then very easily drag that into your DAW to further manipulate them. The unfortunate part is that for the same price or slightly lower price than some of the other drum samplers out there, you get one kit, one option with not a ton in there. So if you want more options and you want to be able to tweak it, then some of these these are probably not great. I do know that the Modern and Massive library from GetGood Drums has more options embedded in it, but again, it doesn't have a ton of mixing within the plugin itself. But overall, the sounds that GetGood Drums gives you in any of their packs are top-notch and sound great. So GetGood Drums sounds great out of the box for the genre that it is marketed towards. So just be aware of the one you're getting, that's what you're getting. So if you're looking for something easy to load up and write to and the groove player to kind of try different things and get inspired by different grooves, then this is really good. It's an easy, frictionless way to have great sounding drums out of the box to write to that can still, frankly, hold up in a final production. Finally, Drumforge. Now, Drumforge seems to be more aimed at rock and metal, especially due to the fact that the producers behind it are rock and metal producers. That being said, there are a ton of great options in there, so you can probably manipulate it for other genres, but that's going to take a little bit more work for different genres. Not that it's not possible, it's just not what this is built for and aimed at out of the box. Drumforge, out of the box, comes with a lot of options, a lot of kit pieces to play with and manipulate how you see fit. The interface and functionality is very user-friendly and very in-depth all at the same time. It's very easy to load up your own one-shot samples to add in alongside the kit that you're building, and Drumforge offers some very powerful mixing tools within the plugin itself, so you can actually have a very self-contained unit and build a great drum kit with EQ, compression, saturation, all sorts of stuff, and some powerful routing, all within the plugin itself. Now, on top of that, you can have multi-outputs and route it into your DAW to further manipulate it using other plugins that you know and love in your DAW. So it's very flexible no matter what your workflow is. The downsides to Drumforge is that Drumforge Classic does not have a groove player. Drumforge Savior, which is the new one, does have a groove player. Drumforge Savior also comes with a lot of great stuff out of the box and is built on the same platform as Drumforge Classic. The other downside to Drumforge is that it is, unfortunately, a CPU hog. It just uses a lot of processing power, especially when you start adding your own samples in. It gets really CPU intensive. So to me, overall, Drumforge Classic or Drumforge Savior is really good. It comes with some really great sounds out of the box, a lot of powerful mixing tools to keep it as a self-contained unit. It's not great for writing due to the lack of groove player built in, especially with the classic version. And the CPU issue isn't great when it's clogging up your system as you're trying to add instruments and layer stuff and just try a bunch of stuff while you're writing. It can really interrupt the flow. But it's really great for a final drum sound and crafting a drum kit to fit in your mix. Between the mixing tools built in, the multi-output routing, and the plethora of kit pieces that it comes with, you do have a lot of tools at your disposal to craft a great drum sound. Now let's dive into the out-of-the-box sonic comparison. Now I just want to say these are default presets with no other processing done to them straight out of the box. The only thing I've done is level matched them so they kind of match and kind of sit in the track. Besides that, they're just a preset that I chose that I thought fit well in this track for each plugin. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that gave you some ideas, some insights into the workflows and features of these specific drum plugins, but also what you should be looking out for in other drum plugins as you're finding the ones that work for you. I personally switch between plugins depending on what I'm using, what I'm looking for, or even within the song, depending on the sounds that I want for different sections. So don't think of it as one size fits all. You can use multiple different ones for different purposes within your process. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you in the next video. Until then, always be creating.